Thanks for joining us today for our first episode of the 2020 our second episode of our 2024 Silverton Speaker Series. I'm Corey Knight, Director of Sales Training and Development here at Silverton Mortgage, and I have the pleasure of hosting this session. I'm delighted to introduce our esteemed guest speaker, Blake Boss. Blake serves as the EVP of Sales for Active Comply, where he is pioneering the intersection of compliance and modern digital marketing within the financial industry. With a sharp focus on leveraging social media to connect authenticity with Gen Z, which of course what we're going to talk about today, Blake empowers not only loan officers in the Active Comply, but real estate agents and builders, which you'll learn here today, with the harness their unique voices while navigating through the complex landscape of the digital marketing with ease. This dual approach not only drives growth, but also ensures that marketing strategies remain compliant, which is very important, and relevant in today's fast evolving digital world. Of course, before we dive into this session, we want to lay a little bit of groundwork. The opinions and interpretations rendered today are solely those of Blake Boss and do not necessarily reflect the position of Silverton Mortgage. This session will last approximately 30 to 45 minutes, and if you have any questions, please use the Q&A button located at the bottom of your screen to ask your questions. We have staff that will be monitoring and collecting those questions throughout the session. So therefore, at the end, we can do a Q&A and answer all the important questions you have. Because I know you'll have it, because I had questions when Em and I did the dry run. So we are recording this session, and it will be available on Silverton Mortgage, LinkedIn, and silvertonmortgage.com/speaker series for future viewing. To kind of set up what Blake and I will be talking about, because I know you've seen all the social media promotions, which is what Blake is here to help us with today. But it's all about connecting with Gen Z, because I'm a Gen Xer. Just put it out there. Blake is our Gen Zer. And so, Gen Z is the next wave of home buyers. And it's a different generation, very forward-thinking, very outside the box. They're eager to kind of build and do their own thing. However, they fight that entry-level income, but yet with the pricing and what we have today, which is higher pricing for everything, and of course, student loans. But in spite of all that, a recent NAR statistic states that 30% of Gen Z homebuyers move directly from mom and dad's house into their own home. And so this decision is obviously a huge decision, but it allows them to bolster their savings and navigate the financial landscape with more stability. That's why they make transition from one to the other. So let's just jump on into it so we can learn more about it. And so Blake, as a Gen Xer, tell me, Gen Z, I mean, you guys are the new wave coming on in as my wave and the boomers, we're slowly phasing out. What really defines the Gen Z generation?
Yeah, so I like to think of Gen Z as really a digital native generation. They were born between the years 1997 and 2012. So that range today is 12 years old to 27 years old. And I'm in the middle somewhere, closer to the higher end. But these Gen Zers, their lives are heavily intertwined in the internet, smartphones, social media. And this all started from a very young age. And it's really shaping their expectations for instant access to information and connectivity. So it's a very powerful generation, and they're coming in really hot.
All right. Well, with that being said, I mean, obviously, what's interesting, you go around and all the kids are in their phones all the time. Is this pretty much standard status quo for the Gen Z generation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember in elementary school, friends had smartphones. There was social media that existed. Instagram was around, Facebook was around. So there was already platforms that existed for over the last 10 years. So it's interesting to know that these Gen Zers just grew up with it from a very young age. And this access to social media and information can be a little scary because they know everything and they think they know everything. But it's just a fun new generation. And now they're adults. Well, some of them. Of course, the 12 to 18-year-olds are pretty young, but they are adults and they are buying homes. And it's very true, especially with the 4 years ago with the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of these Gen Zers were graduating from college or graduating from high school. And, things were hunkering down during that time. So they were living with their parents, but now they're making that transition to buying a home before even renting. So it's a very interesting model that we probably haven't seen for past generations.
Okay, now, with that being said, and it's all about the phone. Obviously, that's how y'all communicate too. I mean, it's amazing. Like my oldest is there, and we could be in the same house, and she'll text me something rather than call her out. I find that very entertaining. Like, hello, I'm right here. But that's kind of how Gen Z communicates. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine going 5 minutes without checking my phone, whether it's work related or personal. But everything is on your mobile device. Everything that you need to know in this world is on the device nowadays. And Gen Z realizes that, and they're sticking with it. And it's funny because, when people think of addictions, probably not related to a smartphone, but people are addicted to their phones. And I would say Gen Z is probably that group. 99% of them have to be addicted because it is something they wake up, they look at their phone, they use it for their alarm clock. Every part of their life, their phone's integrated into it.
Okay, so that really, I guess, that sets the foundation of the importance of being visible to that generation on that platform. Correct?
Oh, if you can't connect with someone via smartphone, you're probably going to miss Gen Z altogether.
Okay, that I can agree with. That I can agree with. So with that being said, obviously Gen Z, you've mentioned already, they talk social media. I mean, there are a number of platforms out there, and you've got your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your uh, Facebook, TikTok, all this stuff. Where does Gen Z tend to focus all their efforts? Where, when you say they wake up and look, where's the first place they're looking?
Yeah. I am very impressed by what TikTok has done in recent years. Gen Z has fully adopted TikTok. So if I had to guess, it's probably going to be TikTok. They wake up, check TikTok. Before they go to bed, check TikTok. So I think they start and end their day on TikTok. But very much like TikTok is Instagram. But Instagram's been around for a long time. But the evolution of Instagram has changed so rapidly in the last few years with having reels, having stories, having different types of content they can engage in. And the common denominator for both TikTok and Instagram for Gen Z is the short form video content that exists. Gen Z likes getting that short, digestible content through video content. And they're not looking for the highly polished content on there. They want the short, quick, casual content. So if they're going to social media, it's going to be some sort of video-based platform. But we are seeing that most social media platforms are kind of riding that bandwagon and having some form of video content available, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, YouTube. YouTube has video shorts now where you could have short form video. So social media platforms with video content are where they're going, and TikTok and Instagram are those dominators.
Okay, so interesting wording that you said. It's short form, non-polished videos. Can you dive into that a little bit? What do you mean by
Yeah,
non-polished? Because me, I'm sitting there going, okay, got to nail it, got to get it perfect. What does that mean?
yeah, and I think there's a lot of different ways that we can look at this specific component. I want to start with the influencer movement that we've seen on social media. Decades ago, celebrities would launch a new product or they'd have some sort of collaboration with some sort of brand. And it was always super scripted. It was Super Bowl commercials, it was TV commercials, radio ads. But nowadays, these same celebrities are doing it on a very casual basis on social media in particular. Um, and it's all about kind of a sneak peek into their lives. So I see that the reason for this short form video content is because they can see into other people's lives and how they're living it. And Gen Z, and really Gen Z, it is specific to Gen Z right now, but it's probably because of the age. Young people are impressionable. They want to look up to somebody. It's human nature for these young people to aspire for something better. And when they're seeing their celebrity influencers posting about a new pair of shoes that just launched, and Gen Z seeing this celebrity wear it on their Instagram account or on their TikTok account, they want to be just like that celebrity. And they know that they can have that same path as that celebrity because social media all started based on connecting with your friends and family. And now we have celebrities on these social media platforms. So these Gen Zers are engaging with these celebrity social media accounts the same way they'd engage with their friends and family on Facebook. So it's one playing field, and they're looking at the way people are living their lives so that they can not replicate it, but have the influence to have that same goal, have that same achievement.
Okay, so that's interesting. So basically, the way like maybe I formed relationships and built relationships, when I was growing up, because by the time cell phones came out, they're like this big, you needed a bag on your shoulder to carry them. Yeah, I fully dated myself there, but we did that. But now they're in there. They view friends as whatever their sphere is within social media. Am I correct?
Yo, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's even bigger than just social media. I think they see everybody as one playing field. Everybody's a peer.
Okay, that's very interesting to see because I'm old school. It's like okay, like you and I, you've been doing this for a while. I mean, you rose up in the ranks quickly, obviously because your skill set, your knowledge,
Well, thank
and I realized this past year I've been doing this industry for 30 years, and you're going, oh Corey, we're right here. I'm going, hold on, I got 30 years experience, but that doesn't mean anything because you're looking. Guess what? I can pull this out and the other. Tell me a little bit more about that even playing field.
Yeah, I think it's always the young thing to do where you just defy authority. And I think Gen Z just has kept that around for far too long. So when you do go into the workplace or when you are with, I would say maybe other generations in a casual, informal setting, you're looking at everybody as if they're your peer. You are looking eye to eye to each other because everybody can gain some sort of value or some sort of benefit from somebody else. And for our friendship and professional relationship, I might know a few more things about Gen Z, but you have a lot more experience on mortgage banking than I do. So we certainly can learn from each other, and it shouldn't be where, I need to call you Mr. Corey Knight.
Oh,
You're
that's my
you're
dad.
right, right, exactly. So it's just it's different, and I think past generations there was always the expectation of respect and etiquette, which, it should still exist, but there's no need to have this overly complex hierarchy of people just based on age alone. Age should not be that determinant for how you treat someone or how you engage with someone's information or content or advice. You should look at someone's information as if they are the same as you and you can have that same journey as them.
Okay, that's very interesting because it's a mindset that for people of my generation, even millennials, I'm sure, have depending on which end of the millennial spectrum you're on,
Right.
have that same kind of where you're used to this, but we kind of have to level that out. And so as for me, I speak to mortgage, I speak to real estate, I speak to builders as far as business. What are some of the things that you would advise like the people on here like that as far as in speaking, how do you find that level playing ground? How do you speak to that level playing ground when maybe your mindset, it's a paradigm shift. So what your mindset says a little different. What advice do you give for them to help communicate? Again, because we want to talk about building trust via social media. How do we go about doing that? What are some of the things you recommend?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because, everybody, we're all people. But of course, the communication factor is very important, and there's different jargon and lingo amongst each generation that exist. So, when it comes to trying to just have a conversation with Gen Z, you need to understand that they aren't overly formal. They're one of the most casual generations that have ever existed. If you look back at pictures by each decade, clothing gets more and more informal. So it's all about the informal communication. And maybe with your kids, if you text them something super like sentency with proper grammar, they're probably thinking, "What the heck are you saying, Dad?" Where they want to hear that yeah, or something super casual, super informal. I even see that with my friends. If I put like a period at the end of a text, it's like, whoa, are you mad? So they look at communication way differently than past generations. And I think it's all because of having the instant connectivity with everybody. If you can give someone a quick yes or no answer via text message or Instagram direct message, it's a lot easier just to have quick casual, almost like oral communication in text form. So I do see that you need to have the, casual, talk to them as if you are them. Um, to be able to engage with them, but also, as you're on social media, there's trends that occur. There's different lingo that is used nowadays, uh, and it changes very quickly. So staying on top of it is tough, but just talking to Gen Z and really understanding what they need, what they care about, is how you're really going to connect with them so that they can communicate with you properly. But just be careful. They have so much access to information that they are going to verify what you tell them. So if it is talking about something professional, work related, let's say it's a new home that went on the market, or maybe a cool new loan program that exists, they're going to verify to make sure what you're explaining the product is really going to be what is delivered. So that makes it really important to be compliant with how you talk to Gen Z when it comes to real estate, when it comes to mortgage, when it comes to home building, because they have that instant information on their phone. So the transparency is super important, and they can sniff out deception. They can sniff out deception. They can sniff out a salesperson. And it all, I think, really starts with when you're going through social media. If you see advertisement, 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 it gets old. It gets really old. So if you can speak to Gen Z as if you're an influencer to them, they want to see inside your life, they're going to really trust you. And with Gen Z, everybody thinks they know everyone they have on social media. You see what's going on in their lives. So they trust that this person is a loyal, trustworthy, authentic, genuine person because everyone on social media is opening up their lives. And Gen Z can see this person is a real person. This person's really trying to help me because they've done this for others as well. So if you could connect the dots to the benefit and the value that you provide to Gen Z, they're going to understand it. And in school, we don't learn everything about real estate and mortgage and home building. We don't learn about that in grade school. And I think there are a lot of schools that are improving that. But if you're going to throw out all these foreign terms to a Gen Zer about a specific loan program, they're going to have no idea what you're talking about. So you have to explain the benefit and not the features of what you're offering to these people.
Yeah, that's actually what, when you said it, when you mentioned the word feature, you said nothing about benefits at first. So as we're going about, whether it's one of our loan officers or the agents that we work with, or even the home, so you're saying, hey, it's great to do this, but you need to help them feel like they experience and how they're going to experience the situation. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it it's interesting how we're able to see what people are doing with their life and with their journey. And if Gen Z is looking at a new home, and or maybe it's a real estate agent that's posting on Instagram, their product is a home itself. Gen Z wants to see how they could have that home also. Like, what is it going to take for them to be able to have that home, and why should they have that home? So if you're a real estate agent and you are talking about this new home that you're listing, don't just say, oh, granite countertops, red door out front. Explain to them how it's going to help with their specific needs and their specific wants and aspirations. Gen Z really cares um, a lot about wellness and a lot about uh, just different things that aren't necessarily the traditional black and white financial journey. They want to feel some sort of extra benefit. So whether it's maybe there's a hot tub at the home that could help with their mental health, or maybe sports therapy for relaxing their muscles. So finding different ways to connect the dots to how they could benefit or achieve something that they might have been influenced by on social media is going to go a long way, but it's all about understanding what they are going to get out of it instead of what they're having to, I guess, commit to. So it's all about
Okay.
understanding the benefits versus the features.
Okay, so basically, like for them to look at a home, hey, guess what? You can have your friends here. This is a great relaxing place for all of you to connect, rather than here's the living room, have a seat, type
Right.
thing. Okay,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so obviously there are trends that go along with all this, and there's always seems to be a trend because social media team here, they absolutely rock, and I find myself doing things I'm like, what in the world? To talk about trends and really, how do they come about? do you jump on board? When do you stop jumping on board? Things like that, because I know trends are so important.
Yeah, and I think when people think of trends, they probably think of the newest dance on TikTok. And that is a trend, but there's so many other trends. It could be a real estate trend, it could be a mortgage trend, it could be a home building trend. There's just so many different trends that could exist. So it's not like one for one or one proven way to go about these trends, but it's always staying up to date. You're only going to be a good professional in the world if you are the expert for what you're doing. You need to just make sure that you have all the knowledge and staying up to date for it. And just going through social media, you're able to see consistencies amongst these trends. So, for example, on TikTok, you could do a sound or music for the background, and you'll see that there may be a new song that was released. And now there's a lot of influencers and content creators and even real estate and mortgage and home building professionals using these background music sounds, and they do some sort of, I don't want to say dance, but they do something that is consistent with the other videos that use the same background sound. But the key here is jump on the trend immediately. The cycle of these trends is so quick and they're pretty short-lived. So if you're seeing a trend that was popular 12 months ago and you do it now, you're probably going to not get the attention of a Gen Zer. It's probably going to be looked at as, oh, this is an old fuddy-duddy, not really interested in really engaging with us. So I think that's what it's all about. Finding the trends, jumping on it, being humorous about it, being authentic about it. Because if you're gonna just, have a scripted video about this trend, you're probably missing the mark. Of course, scripts are good. Scripts are good. They help you follow the guidelines and follow the path forward to have a good video. But you don't want to be overly scripted. It's to help you be you. So always be you with how you deliver your information and your content.
Okay, so basically, you're the only one that knows it's a script, so just say it how you would say it, but cover the content you want, because it's all about delivering the message at the end of the day, and you want to deliver the right message. So a script helps build the straight platform to do, especially in a world of compliance, which both all three of those platforms, all three of the sections you talked about, both builder, real estate, and mortgage, we all have very strict guidelines that we can and cannot do. So to be scripted is great, but like you said, say it in your way, and apparently
Absolutely.
don't use punctuation, right? So yeah.
Yeah,
so
and good point. Good point.
so one thing that you said, and it's something that when we're talking about building trust and really kind of connecting with, because really for when you look at the real estate and mortgage, it honestly, a lot of us are Gen Xers. We are. And the new wave coming in, there's getting to be less of us, unfortunately, but the new wave coming in is doing that. So we got to learn to communicate that. But one word you keep using over and over again is authenticity. And so apparently Gen Z wants the authenticity. So how do you give that authenticity? Being yourself. How do you help your generation? How do we show them, hey, this is misinformation, this is good? How do we help them discern, and how do we go about connecting with them? How do we, posting behind the scenes? I mean, education content. What are all the when you say authenticity? Can you dive into that, and how can we be authentic and bring real value to, and yet want you to engage and watch with that? How do we go about doing that?
Yeah, I would say when we think about authenticity, it could be in an instance, so one individual instance of being authentic, or just being authentic as part of your lifestyle style. And when it comes to real estate, mortgage, and builder professionals, I think of the best way to be authentic is to give a glimpse into your own life. And that comes into almost like a marketing strategy too. So if you're going to show people into your life on social media, you need to have, some balance with some professional as well. You can't just be, a person and, and just be an influencer for life. You need to really promote what you're doing and have, a good process and plan in place so that you can share both personal and professional to drive that authenticity. And when I say authenticity, I'm talking about talking about why you do what you do, or how you do what you do, or other people that you are helping. And it's just to show and prove to Gen Z that what you're doing is working for others and that they could have that same achievement as well. But it's all about consistency. It's all about being authentic in your words and how you explain your offering to these individuals. And, like I said before, they can sniff out if someone's being deceptive, if they're doing something a little funky. So you just need to make sure that you're clear in how you say it and that it's possible for other people to achieve. I think corporations in general, they're everywhere. Uh, but if you are, as a Gen Z, if you're talking to a corporation, you're probably a little hesitant to give them your business just because uh, people want to do business with people they like. And if you're doing business with an entity, it's kind of different than doing business with your friend. So if you could prove to a consumer that you can be their friend and that you're their friend through social media, that's going to go a whole lot longer than if the biggest corporation out there is just giving flyers and promoting this product. Just show them that you're a person too and that you want to help them achieve what you have achieved or what you've helped other people to achieve.
That's very interesting said, because we had to take a look at this thing right here, which of course doesn't show up because of my background, but that's what you're talking about is in there because, like you said, you wake up, let me look, go to bed, let me look one more time, make sure nothing new popped up. I guess that's what you have to do to stay on the trends. But one thing, a couple of things you said, and to kind of go into a little bit more, is one, you said basically don't tell people about it, talk to them about it. Am I correct?
Yes, talk to them as if they are a person.
Okay. And it's funny how you say they want to deal with a person, not. So when you talk about this balance, what should be like, okay, if they're looking, okay, what percentage work, what percentage personal, what type of balance do you think would be one to shoot for, let's say?
Yeah, I would say there's no perfect method, or I mean there's so many different ways that you can go about it, and it's all about what works for you. But
Mhm.
what I have seen that works for other top producers in the industry is about 50-50 personal versus professional. It's a good balance. Everybody in the real estate finance industry, it's their lives. They want to help people. So your work is your life. So explain to them how both your work and your life's 50-50 of your social media presence. And it's working for top producers. We see it every day at the job I work at for Active Comply. We see top producers are doing very, very well if they have that 50-50 balance of professional versus personal content. And sometimes there could be a little middle ground, a little gray area for how they can combine, especially if you're doing some sort of community engagement through your professional work. A lot of the times we see a lot of real estate agents and home builders and mortgage lenders, they will be sponsoring a local charity event or maybe a local a sporting event. And just kind of mixing the personal versus professional can also help people see that you are engaged in your community. You are caring about having that sense of belonging for the people in the community and that loyalty. So there is some sort of compromise between that too. So there's a little overlap.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, because I know, well, I think they changed it a little bit. You're the expert on, but like it's not all about likes either. Because I look, I've I have people that help me keep me in line, and I do whether it's my Friday night family movie night or I do my work related Monday motivation, and it's not all about the likes though. Am I correct? It's more about the views. Can you talk about what that really kind of why is that is? I guess.
Yeah, and you know, people in the social media space use the word engagement a lot. And
Mhm.
engagement can mean a lot of different things. It could be likes, comments, shares, views, reshares. It could be a lot of different things. And people shouldn't just be caught up in likes. I think likes was probably the first metric that ever existed for figuring out how a social media post was performing. So likes have just been this legacy metric that has just been around for some time now. But with video content and improved analytics, improved technology, you can see views. You can engage with this post or video in a lot of different ways. You can reshare it, you can comment, you can share it with a friend via direct message. You can post it, repost it on your story on the platforms that allow that. So there's a lot of different ways to have this engagement, which I think that is that success rate that we need to see is what is your engagement? How many people are seeing this content and not necessarily just liking it? How many people are having exposure to it? And all the social media platforms have their own algorithms and they're all competitors. So they're all trying to figure out a way to improve their algorithms to be better suited for their content creators. And I think TikTok's done an incredible job of their algorithm. I even use it just to, instead of using Google, I go to TikTok and look up, a low carb chicken meal planning recipe, and it's going to give me exactly what I want. And when it comes to these loan officers and real estate agents and home builders that want to figure out what other people are doing, I would just go on TikTok or Instagram, do hashtag real estate advice, hashtag mortgage advice, and see what other content is working. It's not copying them, it's being influenced by them. You can get inspiration from other leaders, other top producers in the industry, and learn from what's working for them. And you'll notice that they do mix up the type of content that they have. And you even do this too, Corey. Sometimes I'll see your dancing videos online. Those are the best. But you also have great motivational content, educational content about what Silverton Mortgage is doing. So you do have a great balance of this content. So you're a great example of what's working for the industry today.
Okay, well, I have some Gen Zers that tell me at home that tell me, Dad, stop dancing. But well, one word you use, and it's the last question I really want to dive over because I believe it's probably the key that really helps drive business and gaining that trust. You use the word engagement. Okay. So engagement, what does engagement look like too? Because like me, I'm the guy, if I text you, I still put in punctuation. Okay. So when you talk about engagement, what does engagement look like?
Yeah. And I think it's engagement is like a multiplier. If you engage with others, then people are going to engage with you. It's just a snowball effect in the most positive way it can be. But when I think of engagement, you also have to think of real time communication. If you're going to be looking at someone's post from last week and you're engaging with it, you miss the acceleration, the momentum that it was having. And if people do the same thing with your content, you're missing that momentum. So if you can stay active in real time on social media by liking, commenting other people's posts, resharing people's posts. And when I say make a comment, I'm not saying make a long paragraph. Give someone a kudos. Say great work, or it's awesome seeing what you're doing, or nice listing. There's a lot of different ways that you can engage, but I would say probably the best is commenting because one, your name is now being promoted under this person's post, but also they see that you care. You want to see them win. So it's a lot of mindset, but also, the metrics on social media. And if you're engaging in someone's content through like, comment, reshare, repost, they're gonna see that and they're gonna do it back to you. So it's almost like I don't want to say quid pro quo, but it's karma. It's good karma, and people are gonna see that. And there's one of my neighbors told me this the other day, which was really interesting. Um, he's an influencer on social media, not in the mortgage or real estate industry, but he always says, support your friends through social media. I'm going to give this person a follow, a like, just because I want to see their journey and how to be successful. Even if you aren't interested in what they're offering, just giving someone support goes a long way. And I think it's all comes down to kindness. If you're going to be a kind person, you're going to lift other people's up, no matter who they are. So if you're able to do that on social media, that's going to improve that engagement and it's going to come back to you. But also, engagement's not just a two-way street. Let's think of like a third street. You need to encourage engagement with your content. So I do this quite often. If I'm going to an industry event or some sort of networking event, I'm going to make a post, say, can't wait for this event, drop a comment if you're going, or let me know who's going, or if you know someone interested, share this post with them or have them sign up. So encouraging other people to engage with you is that third street that I think is really important. Because it's not just about, oh, fill out this application form. No, follow my account, see what I'm doing, learn about this new educational program, or learn from my peers and the partners that I work with. So it's just a huge thing that people need to grasp. And it's hard. It's definitely hard, but the best way to do it is just to start now.
One thing that's interesting, it is hard. It's a lot of work because I have my plans which I have to go through every week, and I'm like, oh, I gotta post. Oh, I gotta put on my story. Oh, I gotta do this. Oh, they're gonna make me dance. All that stuff. But I also realize that's networking. That's that's marketing. That's putting yourself out. It is work to do it. But that's kind of where all work is going. Am I correct in making that statement?
Oh yeah, I mean, back in 2020, of course, people worked from home for a long time, but
Mhm.
2020 really pushed people to work from home. So we're
Mhm.
on Zoom right now talking. And whenever we catch up, where it's always on Zoom or some other platform like that. So I really just think that the interconnectivity is just way different. It's just way different than it was before. So just being able to be there some way, somehow, even if it's not physically, really goes a long way.
Okay. I noticed, I think social media kind of gets rid of the awkward border where if you saw them face to face, you might not have a talk, but via social media, it's like conversation is acceptable. Am I
Oh,
feeling that properly?
yeah, communication is certainly acceptable on social media. And this is funny to me just because I work at a job that requires phone calls and traditional forms of communication. But if I called most of my friends for a regular phone call, chances are they're not going to answer me. But they'll respond immediately if I sent them a post on Instagram or send them a Snapchat. They're going to respond immediately. But if it's a phone call, they don't like that. Of course, some do. So it all depends on the person. But as a whole, Gen Z wants to communicate in a very quick, convenient, at their leisure. It's going to be quick, but it's still going to be at their leisure. So yes, social media is a channel of communication that is much more important than what people think. And we even see this around the globe. There are countries that are heavily promoting social media as a primary form of communication. And in the US, of course, it's still very popular amongst everybody, but I'm seeing that a lot of other countries are really using social media as a interconnected web where their politicians, their leaders are really going to those platforms and sharing with the community. So it's a global initiative right now.
It's funny you just brought something to light because I can't tell how many times I've called my oldest daughter and she doesn't answer the phone, but I get a text back right away. Hey, Dad, what you want? I'm like, I want you to pick up your phone. But
Oh yeah.
again, that's me learning to embrace in order to get that communication out of her. So that is great insight. I mean, you provided a lot there, and I guarantee we're going to have some questions here. So,
Oh yeah.
Blake, as our time comes to an end, we do want to leave a few minutes to answer the questions that have been submitted. I see we got one in there, and again, more can pop on in as we go. Now that we're opening it up, so if you do have questions, please hit the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Type your question in, and we'll hit Blake with it and go from there. So, Blake, here's what's interesting. The first one is probably one of the best questions that I get a lot is what's a good closing gift for Gen Z? Because if you guys want something, you just click a button and you get it, correct?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
what does someone do for this? Because I know agents ask this, loan officers, what's a good closing gift for Gen Z?
You know what? This is actually a really hard question. And the reason is people are still people. I think that if you're buying one of your customers a gift, you need to find out what your customer likes. It's not about the generation, it's about the person. But if you are going to try to come up with a Gen Z cool thing, I think things that are related to technology or something related to a smartphone. A lot of the times, some of the things that I've seen social media content creators and the real estate finance space do, they'll give out little I don't know what they're called, but they're little things that go on the back of your phone so you can hold it. And there's also different ways that you can get like a suction cup so you can film. So there's a lot of cool things like that. But when it comes to buying someone a closing gift, I really think it's about the person. Um, that might not have been the best answer you were looking for.
Right.
But
Well, actually, to dive into that just for a moment, the social media, if you connect with your clients on social media, you know what they're in and what they like. And that for you to dive in, and again, this is my brain going, if you dive in, you see what they like to bring a closing gift, showing that you invested the time to look into them and what they like. What would that speak when you talk about authenticity and connecting with Gen Z?
Oh, I think that would be the best thing in the world. If I was buying a home and someone got me something upon closing that was related to something that I really enjoy, I'd be like, wow, this was very, very personable. And that goes a long way. I mean, just in sales, you need to know what people are all about. You need to see what their needs are, find some sort of common ground. So as you're going through that process, you might have insight into it already, but go to their social media accounts, see what they like. If they are a big sports fan, maybe tickets if it's in the budget, or maybe there's some sort of baseball that you can get them. That'd be cool. So there's a lot of different ways that you can find out about a person just through social media. So I think that would just prove the genuineness, that authenticity. Uh, and of course, happy customers make more happy customers. So if you could do that for someone in Gen Z, they're going to tell their friends. We talk to all of our friends all day long. I mean, the amount of group chats on different platforms that I'm in with friends from college, from high school, it people are so interconnected, they're going to share the same experience. And I find that there's not a lot of filter for Gen Z. They're going to share everything, all the details in the world with their friends, with their peers. So they're going to share that experience with them. So I would say look into something very personal and specific to them based on their social media presence.
What's interesting, that's another mind shift. Because before I've been like, that's creepy. How'd they know that about me? You are like, no, bring it. This is where I'm at. It's very much a different whole society as we go. And you provided a lot of insight today on that. One thing I do want to quick put with a closing gift, just make sure you're compliant. Check with the if you're a broker, check with your real estate, check with your brokerage. Again, mortgage, check with your compliance department. Same thing, builder, to make sure that you do stay compliant when doing closing gifts. So I got to put that out there to make sure that we don't give wrong advice. But you gave great advice. Are there any? I want to go ahead and open up. Are there any other questions out there for Blake in this communication? Because I know for me, it's opened my mind, which helps me hopefully help me relate to my own children going on in and why they're so filter less, and and learning this. I actually got someone put it in the chat, and well, hold on, question, and then I want to put to address on the chat. Where do you draw the line on too many social media posts and too few? What's a good balance? How much do you post, and when do you overpost?
You know what? It's different for everybody. And the reason why I say that is because there's different types of social media. I mean, if I saw on LinkedIn 10 posts in one day by one person, I think I'd be pretty annoyed. That'd be too much. It's like, are you throwing up all over me with content about work? So that I would say, be mindful of the amount of social media, but mix it up. Don't just go all in on one platform. I would say dabble in a few of them. So maybe on Instagram, make a post twice a week, but maybe put on your story 3 times a week. So you can change up the type of content you're sharing based on the platform. So have a little, roll the dice, figure out exactly where you're going to put the content each day of the week. I think I do see a lot of people will post 4 to 5 times a week. On average, for specifically for mortgage loan officers, I see that the top producers are doing on average 4 posts per week. And some of it's personal, some of it's professional. But I think 4 to 5 a week is a good middle ground. It's not every single day, but it's enough where people see it. And not every generation is on social media all day. Of course, Gen Z is, so they're going to see it and they're going to engage with it. But chances are there might be one post they don't see. But just following that journey, that path for social media will be important. And social media is a long game. You're not just going to get instant leads or instant business from social media when you start. It's going to be a process. And for Gen Z, they are home buyers now, but some of them aren't yet. Some of them aren't even adults yet. So it's going to be a long game. So just make sure that you have enough content where they can stay up to date with what you're doing, but not too much where they're going to unfollow you.
That's good because I love the fact you said a long game because so many times people are looking to hit that easy button, and
Mhm.
there is no easy button. Let's be honest in
For real.
in our sales industry and what we do. But one thing I like about the online store, like they say, if you have a billboard, you have to have it up for at least 6 months before people are familiar with it. And if I'm getting it right, and you can let me know a little bit more. To do on social media doesn't mean you'll get instant business, but for you to bump into someone you've talked to on social media, there's a whole different level of communication. They feel like, okay, we're friends now, even though we've never met each other. We're
Right.
friends now. There's a familiarity that makes it comfortable. Am I correct in going down that route?
Oh yeah. I mean, I look at different celebrities that I follow and I think I know everything about their life. I feel like I know their personality, what they do, how they wake up, what they put in their coffee every day. I feel like I know that. Uh, but still, there might not be all the truth in what's on social media, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's all about, being you, being real.
All right, well, that's great. One person put this out, and it changes me. Changed my thought process here, and then we'll just take one or so more questions. But is it okay to tell people to follow you on social media? Hey, follow me on social media. Can I follow you? Is that like too forward? Is that awkward? Hey, follow, like, you need to follow me. Hey, can I follow you? Is that, what do
Uh,
people think of that?
so I think it's funny how different the generations are. Even though we're all people, it's just funny to see how my friends and my peers that are my age uh, get other people's information. So if and this is it really takes me back to college, which was a few years ago. If we would meet new people in the dorms, oh, what's your Instagram? We're not asking for their phone number.
Mhm.
We're asking for their Instagram. And I think it's about, do I trust this person? Am I gonna really give out my phone number to this person? No, I'm gonna give them my Instagram because everybody else can see that too. So I think Gen Z really tries to guard and gatekeep their cell phone number for whatever reason it is, where they'd rather give out their Instagram or their Snapchat or their TikTok before they ever give out their phone number. So it's not weird to ask for someone's social media information because it's public unless someone has a private account. But the majority of people have public social media uh, out there. So I think that's a very good question, Corey, because Gen Z is going to give you their social media, and that's totally okay to ask. I would
So it's
say,
okay to follow then too, right?
oh, totally okay to follow too.
Okay.
I would say I wouldn't ask a older generation, hey, what's your Facebook? But so it's just important to know who you're talking to.
I just appreciate you starting off the answer by slowly choosing, wow, Corey, you're old. But you didn't do that. But no, it was perfect. I mean, as far as it goes. Now, one last question that we hit, then we got to get running here because we're running a couple minutes over. Post versus reels. Which one should one lean on? And then we'll wrap it up.
You know what? I like to think about Reels as a type of post. So when you're on Instagram, and Reels are specific to both Facebook and Instagram, the Meta family. So when you go on a feed, you can still see the Reel as a post. It's going to be on the feed. Just Reels also has another section where you can watch a lot of Reels. So my advice for this, I'd rely on a post because that is going to be uh, basically the landing page for all of your content on Instagram, all of your content on Facebook. So whenever you're on Instagram, you look at your feed, you can click on a reel if you want, but I would say rely on post. Sprinkle in some reels because it does have a different aspect ratio for the videos. But you could have a post that is a video, but you could also do a reel that's a video. So sometimes it's interchangeable, but I would say rely more heavily on a post, but do sprinkle in those reels because you do have some cool customization and features that you can add to that video content, which is pretty cool.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Blake. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. If you submitted a question we didn't answer, please email me at corey.knight@silvertonmortgage.com. And then you can please follow Blake. It's in the chat. So please follow him and follow Silverton. Love you see that. So that way you can see how Blake's influence played on us as far as we're growing our social media. Now, hey, on behalf of all of our audience and all of us here at Silverton Mortgage, we appreciate you spending time with us today. Thank you for your valuable insight into the wonderful world of Gen Z homebuyers and social media trends. I know I learned a lot, and it's very clear that this generation's unique financial challenges and reliance on a pure digital platform represent both opportunities and challenge for us, especially us Gen Xers here. But by focusing on the transparency, education, and really the big word to use is authentic engagement, we can build trust and long-lasting relationships with Gen Z. We can connect, bridge that gap. And we appreciate your expertise in shedding light on these important strategies. And we'll continue our speaker series with another event midsummer. So be sure to follow us on Silverton Mortgage on social media for more information. And thank you very much. And y'all have a great day.